The Blokebusters podcast is proud to be a member of the Podbros Network. You can find us as well as other fine shows such as The Guy Huddle, Language of Bromance, and Dave's Nerd Compendium at podbros.com and on Twitter at Podbros Network. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode of the Blokebusters podcast. Welcome to episode 58 of the Blokebusters podcast. I'm Brian.
And I'm Paul.
And today we are going to be taking on mockumentaries.
Mockumentaries,
yes.
An actual kind of a favourite genre of mine. Really.
Yeah, and by no means will this be an entire comprehensive of the genre. It's just Paul and I's experience with the genre.
Yeah.
If we will more than undoubtedly leave some big ones out, or whatever.
Yeah.
So
I mean, looking at the
this
list,
isn't an A to Z
yeah.
thing. Just kind of the ones we like, the ones the
ones we've seen at least
recently, the ones that we're aware of.
Yes.
But real quick, I did just want, in case all of you aren't exactly sure of what that means. A mockumentary is a film or television show in which fictional events are presented in documentary style to create a parody. These productions are often used to analyze or comment on current events and issues by using a fictional setting or to parody the documentary form itself.
Yeah.
Which I really like that they're just making fun of the documentary form.
Yeah, and I would also add on to that it on top of that you can also just have something that is presented as real documentary style.
They kind of go on to that because they can be either comedic or dramatic.
Yeah,
and the dramatics are docu-fiction.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of things that I really enjoyed that aren't necessarily they're comedic, but it is a mockumentary style.
Well, there was a Discovery show a couple of years ago that was the mermaid. They found the mermaid. Did you see that one?
There was that one, and then
it was done. It was really well done.
Yeah,
and there was, and at the end they had to be like, okay, this was fake.
Maybe they wanted to do it so it was like the people that believed it and then got annoyed that it wasn't true. Maybe they were trying to get rid of those people in their viewership. We want people who are more scientific minded and are willing to.
I don't know. I don't mean to get into something about Discovery Channel, but they lost all their credibility with how they treat Shark Week anymore. But not as fact based, but just fantastical based.
I think I'd given the right to do, but at least have something to really say okay.
Stop making everyone afraid of sharks when only 8 people in the world need to be afraid of sharks this year.
Yes.
Around that.
Yes, I do believe that several thousand% more people die due to toilet seats every year.
Selfies was a big headline. Yeah, selfies killed more people than shark attacks this year.
I think I saw a post where it was the top 15 people who died just after taking these selfies this year or something like that. It's okay, you've already surpassed it. Well done.
Alright, well, let's get in the DeLorean and hop back to where we were talking about mockumentaries.
Yeah, quick edit here.
No, that's fine. Leave that in, please. Anyway, get a hold of us on Twitter at Blokebusters.
Yeah, you got Facebook.
Facebook at Blokebusters.
Yeah.
Facebook, Blokebusters,
yeah.
You can find us. Alright.
and email us, blokebusterpodcast@gmail.com. There we go. So.
Okay. Alright, so where would you like to go into this?
Well,
genre?
I think we should probably start with the one that first leapt to your mind when I mentioned mockumentary, and I finally got the chance to watch it. What We Do in the Shadows.
The most recent, and I would say it's tough to say because it is the most recent, but I would say the shining example of what a mockumentary should be.
At least one of a couple of shining examples.
Yes,
not to exclude one that I'm sure everyone's shouting right now.
No. But really nailed it, I think.
Yeah.
So.
And I have zero facts and figures for these films because there's just too many, and I couldn't be bothered to look them up. So,
opening weekend, 128,000.
Well, given that it's a New Zealand film, that was probably just in New Zealand.
No, that was US.
Oh, really?
Weekend, 128,000 in US.
Well, given that it's from the Flight of the Conchord guys, I guess I can't be too surprised at that.
Yeah, and then gross 6,127,000.
There we go. That's more like it.
But, yeah. Mm-hmm. But yes, this was Jermaine Clement and Taika Waititi.
Yeah, anyone that has ever heard of the TV show Flight of the Conchords, it's basically, I believe it was a 2-series run. And when I say series, I'm leaning more towards the English version of series there, where there's only a few episodes in the series.
2 seasons, as we would say here in America. Yeah.
And they did comedy songs. The one episode that sticks in my mind is their manager tells them that Peter Jackson has asked them to write a song for Lord of the Rings. So they do a full music video of the song telling Frodo not to wear the ring. And then at the end of the episode, the manager has to agree that, I don't know. Peter Jackson, I don't know.
Well,
and the manager is actually played by, if you've seen What We Do in the Shadows, the leader of the werewolves, the Alpha.
Yes, Reese Darby. Yes. Yeah, we'll get to him in just a bit. But... I just quickly want to say hats off again to you English folks for ending that series. Well, I don't know who was in charge of that, but that is something I very easily can see getting away from in America, that they would have run that premise into the ground for 6 years.
Yeah.
And just just a hardcore group of people would still be watching it, but they kind of left at the top, which I kind of like. But important to note. Yeah, Brett McKenzie was not in this film, though, was he? Did he appear in this? I didn't see him.
I'm not sure, to be perfectly honest. If he did, it wasn't.
Yeah,
I think he's off doing other things right now.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, so what should we say about this one? I don't know. I guess I was before we started recording, I was kind of telling Paul, the best mockumentaries, at least the comedic ones, are the ones that take themselves completely seriously, at least the subject matter.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah, and that's what I'm referring to. Of course, it's not a comedy if it's just taken, straight on. But whatever the subject matter is, vampirism or butter, we're talking, or the Beatles. You treat it seriously and then find the humor within. Yeah, and that's really what this does.
Well, a lot of humor comes from people taking themselves too seriously, which is kind of where some of the humor comes in this. Obviously, for those of you that don't know what We Do in the Shadows is, it's a flat in New Zealand where there are 4 vampires, at least at the start.
Initially, yes.
4 vampires living there. One of them is Nosferatu, and I will fight anyone that tells me he is not Nosferatu. He is 8,000 years old.
Peter.
Yes, Peter. And then you've got the 3 others, and I'm fairly certain they only say that one of them was turned by Peter when they're talking about it, but
Deacon was turned by Peter.
Yeah, the other 2 don't specifically say, so take for that what you will. And they're going to this secret ball in 6 months' time, so a documentary crew has been allowed to follow them and get them ready, and so you're seeing
the unholy masquerade.
You're seeing their lives leading up to said unholy masquerade. And it starts off brilliantly with the first vampire you see opening up his coffin after turning off the alarm, of course, and slowly rising up, seeing the camera, nice smile, finishing the rising up. It starts off as it means to go on. It's just that slight, hi camera.
That opening sequence of him, here come the bad accents. This part is always very scary. He's peeking through the curtains to see if it's night.
He just opens it up. Okay.
Okay. Wake up, everybody.
Yes.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, borderline German, but we'll go with it.
Well, do we know what?
I would imagine like Austria area.
That's a neighboring.
Yeah.
I'm in the area.
He's going to turn into Augustus Gloop by the end of this thing.
Probably. But I love the layout of all the rules of their world.
Yeah.
I think, they got a couple... well, have you seen the film Let the Right One In? The Swedish...
I've seen
tween romance, vampire tween romance.
Yeah, I've seen most of the Swedish one, not the remake.
Don't bother.
I'm not going to bother with the remake.
Let them in, or whatever that is called, or who cares?
Let
that
Me
one.
In, I think.
Yeah, Let the Right One In, which is one of my favorite films.
Yeah.
I don't recall a film scene, or I'm not a huge horror buff, so I can be corrected, but that was the first time I remember seeing the rule that you have to be invited in.
Oh,
so
you hadn't seen it? The Lost Boys.
Oh, no, you're right. I am so sorry. How embarrassing. Okay, so...
And I don't think it was an Interview with a Vampire.
But that wasn't one I really think of first as like a vampire rule.
No, yeah. It's definitely something that I think was in the initial lore, and then when people started writing the films, they basically were like, well, this is going to get boring. How about we just ignore it?
Ignore it. So, yes, very confirmed. They reference Lost Boys, though. What was the reference to Lost Boys?
It's something about...
What we took from the Lost Boys.
Wasn't it the trick with the spaghetti and the worms or something?
Yes, that was it. Yeah, yes. From the Lost Boys? Yeah. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Augustus Gloop.
Yeah, we're both going to ruin the film for you, and then we're going to tell you what's in it, and then we're
going
to ruin
any
it.
sense should have seen the film.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. If you're listening to us talk about a mockumentary, What We Do in the Shadows, and haven't seen it, yes, go see it. Press pause.
And then we're going to ruin it for you just because of the accents.
Yeah, so enjoy it, because you're never going to enjoy it again.
Yeah.
All right,
you're going to go back and you're going to hear us every now and again.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's just a really well done. Like, they've clearly studied all of these documentary things, but I kind of had a crib style feel to it in the first 5 minutes as they're going around all the rooms. Like, this is my room,
and this is Peter. Yeah, move the vault. And, perhaps what is that? Ooh, what is that about? The spinal column. And then we get a broom and sweep up.
And that whole day, like, yes, we have a flat meeting.
And yes, I love you. Haven't done the dishes in 5 years.
Yeah. And I will say, one thing I wasn't expecting was just how well they did the flying and all of that stuff.
I would strongly recommend. I bought it on iTunes, and the special features are fantastic. There's a lot. There's the commentary is very good. But yeah, a lot of the even that little rising out of the coffin trick is kind of explained. That's very cool.
Well, that one, I would
they kind of talk about their history. All of the artwork is I wouldn't say all. Most of that artwork you see in the beginning is 14th century, 14th century artwork.
I figured that
drawings
most of it
of devils
was,
and stuff. Yeah,
it was actual artwork, because as much as you can attempt to recreate that stuff, sometimes you just can't.
Yeah, and I love that's the level of authenticity they gave this film.
They had to, given that one of them was 8,000 years old.
Yeah.
You're gonna have really old history there, so you got to have the artwork to go with it. And,
but yeah, I mean, you can't just have goofy. Although, as at times there are, the whole film can't just be goofy vampires running around.
No,
and just freaking out about garlic and sunlight. No, you have to get to know these people or creatures, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah, yeah, and it's interesting because I like the idea that these guys are sort of the anomaly when it comes to vampires.
Oh, no, it's some live in castles. Well, most actually.
Yeah.
But some like to live in a flatting situation in New Zealand.
Yeah, it's
Which are
really
very dark, brooding people who live in castles, yeah.
And as I was saying, just going back to the graphics and stuff, you've got some bits where it's wire work, where they're just kind of where they're fighting over the dishes and then they just up in the air, which I think is in the trailer. So it's really well done. And then you've got bits where they do just fly off, turning into bats, and like that's really well done. And then when he's waking up Vlad, and you just open that door, and it's like him really far away on the wall, and then open it back up again, and it's just the bedroom. Like
that was a cool trick too.
Yeah, just really nice things like that going all the way through. So,
but yeah, I loved the serious scenes that grounded the film too. Yeah. Like the whole there aren't a lot of laughs. Like when Nick, the youngest vampire, leading up to that hilarious scene, him trying to get out of the house, and then Peter got him, and you find out that he didn't die. Peter turned him again, Nick. But the whole kind of heroin withdrawal comparison, or just whatever, like his turning, how they really went into, it's pretty rough. It's not just like throwing up and shaking, and it was handled so seriously that I was like, that must really suck. Turning into a vampire must really blow like that. Yeah. And
then the scene in the fish and chip shop where he has the chips. Like, are you sure you want to do that? Like, no. You don't want to do it.
And then just a vomit scene that rivals Team America, maybe. Yeah. As far as ridiculousness.
And as well, I don't know how much it's the same over here, but in England, and I'm sure in New Zealand, that whole thing of you just saying to the guy "You're right," and he just gives you the thumbs up, and he's still throwing up.
But then it's turned to the camera. Can't even eat chips. It's my favorite food. Can't eat chips.
I hate being about that.
Bullshit. Don't believe the hype.
Those characters were so well written.
Every single character, I don't feel like there was really any extraneous characters.
No,
everyone felt fleshed out.
And he just that bit where it's like, we don't tell people the vampire. Could you imagine how everyone would react? And it's just vampire.
I think out of the bar, I'm a vampire. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And the well, okay, this is spoiler for a bit in the middle of the film, so seriously,
spoiler.
If you haven't seen it, the bit where he is talking to someone, it's like, I'm a vampire. It's like, oh really? I'm a vampire hunter. No, you're not. But I'll give you my email.
I like how that would have been a little more hit over the head in another movie, ooh, you're going to need to remember this point. But it was so matter of fact in a little sequence, you don't know that's necessarily going to be an important part.
No, he's gone around just telling everyone he's a vampire, and this one guy just said, oh yeah, I'm a vampire hunter. It's and then, he is a vampire hunter, and he comes back and leads to the untimely demise of Peter.
Shame! Shame! Shame!
He is pointing his fingers at me,
and I'm shaming him.
Yes. I begged him. Oh, God.
Let's move that up to crime number 1.
Yeah. Okay, no, so that one didn't really. Oh, God. We really need to stop doing this.
I want to talk. Okay, we'll talk about the werewolves that I think we need to move on to maybe another documentary or mockumentary. But Reese Darby, amazing. As the
those
leader,
werewolves were fantastic.
As the alpha male. What are we, guys? Werewolves, not swearwolves. Werewolves, not swearwolves. I want on his shirt so bad. Yeah, I'm sure I can find one. But.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that is. And then again, the way they just bring it about is just just tie yourselves to the fucking tree. It's like, wait, werewolves, not werewolves. Like, we're changing tonight. That's fine.
Where are your track pants? You're gonna bust right through those.
You've lost them. You've lost them.
What are you tying yourself? You know how big you get when you toe in that tree. Tie yourself to a bigger tree.
And of course, the way they're clearly trying to tie themselves to trees, so they're not going to do this. But the policemen are saying, every month this gets it. They're failing every month doing that. Yeah. Which is, it's great. And of course, the whole thing, where there's clearly a rivalry between the werewolves and the vampires. And then towards the end, again, spoiler, the human character that is the new vampire's best friend. Yeah, Stu. And
Stu's great.
Yeah, all of the vampires in the flat love Stu more than the new vampire.
They love Nick. Yeah.
And then, you believe he is ripped apart by the wolves, and it turns out, no, he is now a werewolf.
No,
and
he
so,
is bridging the gap.
yeah,
Yes.
so they're able to get together at the end. And the one other thing that I thought was fantastically done is the Beast.
The Beast.
The whole way through, you've got Vlad is supremely annoyed at the Beast, because they had a battle many centuries ago.
Yeah,
he's not as powerful as he once was because he's hung up over the Beast, and it's his ex-girlfriend.
The Beast is what I call my ex-girlfriend.
Yeah.
He's a very pretty vampire. Yeah,
It's just it was so I was so into this documentary, I wasn't anticipating that it was just going to be the ex-girlfriend.
Yeah. Well, the draw leads of the Beast. Oh my god, with the genitalia poking out of the stomach or whatever, the chest. Well, it was odd. Yeah, I think that was also period.
I've seen drawings like that before. Yeah. That was typical of the time.
Yeah, just a devil, whatever. Yeah. But yeah, all over, just superbly made. Yeah, and I wish. I mean, the sad thing is that movies like this, at least outside of the studio system, are never going to be huge financial successes.
No,
probably
not.
But at least in our current age of VOD and being able to access things streaming, at least this gets to be seen by more people than it would. I never would have heard of this film if this film came out 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Because it would have just been for New Zealanders and maybe,
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll have come up with the idea to do this episode and we're like, what's this what we do in the shadows thing?
So I feel bad. I wish more people would see it, but I think, it has a strong following. And I'm proudly a member of that. So.
Yeah, and I do think that the mockumentary style films are sort of on the uptake, which is both good and bad. Mm-hmm. Because, as we know, anything that starts off as a great little niche thing,
and the market gets inundated.
Warning. Hipster words coming here. When it gains real popularity, that's when the studios are like, well, let's just stick with this formula, and it's just the same after the same after the same. Whereas something like this, I think you can't really duplicate this exact thing again. You need to find something else.
It'd be so transparent that they're trying to do what we do in the shadows with Frankenstein or whatever, wherever direction it'd be, high school prom or whatever it'd be, whatever stencil you lay it on, you're gonna be able to tell.
You just need to have a new subject entirely for it. So, which I'm fine with the mockumentaries only coming out every now and again, just because you need time to really study the subject. And it's a fantastic film. Go see it, people, if you haven't already, which you should have by now.
And and now you can see it with most of it ruined for you if you haven't. Just like God intended.
Yeah. Now, the good thing about this is, even though we've given away plot points, I don't think the film is any less for it.
No, I could have. I mean,
the scenes are great.
Upset being told all of that, but I could watch it and just enjoyed it. So so that was our most shining recent example, I think.
So aside from this film, then, what would you have pointed to as example?
Really, I just have to go with my first introduction into the genre that I can recall. And I mean, I really do think it was the first, I'd say, quote-unquote, mockumentary that I saw was Best in Show by Christopher Guest, and who I think is clearly the mockumentary king. Yes. He is the champion. Which, so. Of course, then it was just kind of timeline-wise, I had seen Best in Show first and then went back to see Waiting for Guffman. both amazing movies, but Best in Show just once again taking the world of dog showing or whatever, dog shows so genuinely and sincerely.
Yep.
And I mean, I'm sure that's what that world is like to an extent. Highly competitive,
Yeah.
But
definitely.
just all the interviews, and Christopher Guest himself is just absolutely hilarious in it. Eugene Levy is amazing in all of his movies.
Yeah.
So that was like, oh yeah, like wow, this is like a documentary, but funny. Like I like that. Like this is all right.
Yeah.
So that was kind of my first introduction, but I loved all of his.
I say that one's been so long since I've seen it that I can't picture it.
Me, George, I'm the best one. That's when he's throwing up his little his dog, and Christopher Guest with the hunter hat. Oh yeah.
I mean, I've got two that I kind of point to before I saw What We Do in the Shadows.
Yeah.
The one which is probably the one most people are familiar with, which is Spinal Tap. I would say that's probably got the biggest cult following out of any mockumentary I've ever seen.
Which most people might say was kind of like the first of the modern era, I'd say, of mockumentaries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it obviously it's been a thing of...
Her first one to really be a big blip on the radar.
Yeah, at least over here. Shall we say?
Mm-hmm.
Here being America. Obviously, having the English person saying over here, I kind of feel like John Oliver when he's talking about here we do this. It's like I don't think you're a citizen yet, John. But yeah, so the whole this one goes to 11. You get to 10. Where do you go? You got nowhere to go. Boom, 11.
Why don't you just make 11 10?
Yeah,
ours goes to 11.
Yeah, but you can just make 10 louder, and then that's all you need to do. Just go out to 10. But this goes to 11.
I can pretty much watch. Yeah,
just fantastic. I didn't get to see it until like 6 years ago or so because again, growing up in England, it wasn't really on TV that much. So it was something I actually ended up searching for and watching myself, but just really well done. Got some fantastic acting, fantastic improvisation from everyone involved. Had Harry Shearer of The Simpsons fame.
Yeah, Harry Shearer, who's in a lot of the Christopher Guest movies. We should say this is directed by Rob Reiner.
Yes.
Christopher Guest wrote and starred in, but it also has Michael McKean, who's part of that kind of troupe.
Just loads of all the people you would expect to be in these things.
Bruno Kirby, excellent.
And then the other one that I have that I like to point to, this one is not so much the comedy. I mean, there is kind of some humor in it, but it's a dark humor because it's actually set as a horror film as such, which is Behind the Mask: The Rise of Leslie Vernon, which I'm sure I've mentioned before. I don't know if I've gone into it. And the way it works is that it's set as a documentary in this world. It's on Earth and all that, but in this version of Earth, every single serial killer from film, so Freddy Krueger, Mike Myers, and Jason, they all actually existed. Okay. And this guy is training to become the next big killer, the Leslie Vernon character, who's gonna one night will have killed all of these kids, and this documentary crew is following him during his training. And a lot of what it is pointing out the tropes of horror films and kind of having fun at it. Like there's one scene where he's doubled over at a tree after he's gone for one of his many runs in his training. And they're saying like, why do you do this? And he says like, do you not pay attention? Like, all of these kids, they're running for their life, and you got to be right behind them all the time. And you can't be doubled over. You got to be just following them all the time.
Yeah.
Like it's backbreaking work. All of this stuff. And there's a point where they go and visit a previous serial killer who's there with his wife having lemonade on the veranda as they're talking about, like, oh yeah, well I think you should do this. Like, if you're going to do that, that'll be a good idea. Like, and then at the end of the film, when it comes time to actually do it, there's a point where the film crew say we can't let them do it, and then they put down their cameras, and it becomes a horror film for the last 20 minutes. So it's fantastically done, and I enjoy.
With Robert Englund in there himself.
Yeah, Robert Englund is in it. He is not in it as Freddy Krueger. He is in it as someone trying to stop him.
Scott Wilson from Walking Dead fame.
And it also has, as the librarian, an old woman in it who I believe is the woman who says this house is clear in that film. But
I'm not seeing her in the
I can't picture who it is, so I apologize for that right now. But when you see the film, you'll know. And yeah, so those two, you got the comedy one and then the horror one, and they're both just so meta that I love them.
Yeah, that's one that definitely I was not aware of. I think maybe I just maybe in name only, but didn't really know what it was.
No, exactly. Yeah. I can't recommend Behind the Mask enough, and I'm not referring.
Do you think the 6.8 Metascore is low?
I think it is.
That's pretty close. Okay.
I mean, I would say I'd probably go for a 7, 7, 8 in that area. So I mean,
definitely enjoyable. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Fair enough. Good recommendation, Paul.
No, thank you. So yeah, the mockumentary style I find really interesting. Obviously, I've mentioned several times before, I'm a big fan of meta humor. So anything that is poking fun at something while being that thing.
Yeah, I love anything. Self-aware or that's either making fun of the style or the subject matter itself. Yeah.
And now there's a couple of things as I was looking through. There's a film, I believe it was DreamWorks. They did a mockumentary called Surf's Up.
Did they now?
Yeah. It's a documentary of a penguin that wants to become a surfer. It done as a documentary. It's
so an animated mockumentary.
Yeah.
It is twice over fake.
It was.
It's doubly fake.
I didn't think about it until I was looking it up, but yeah, I don't. I wouldn't have thought of that, but I don't know how that happened, and it's a kids' film, so maybe it's a way of getting kids used to that idea.
I don't know.
Yeah,
that's really odd. 2007.
Yeah,
Zooey Deschanel. Yeah.
Which means Brian is going to go and find it now.
Well, she's just a voice, so got Napoleon Dynamite, Jeff Bridges, James Woods.
Yeah, I mean, lots of good voices.
So was that kind of mixed in? I don't know the timeline with Madagascar and
I would imagine so. Yeah,
whatever else.
I think this was sort of the same time as Happy Feet.
Oh yeah, that would make sense. That's the one I was trying to think of.
Yeah,
I just said penguins. The movie Penguins.
I know much of the penguins.
No, just penguins. Let's not complicate things for the kids. Just here's some penguins. The next one, lions.
I'm sort of surprised they haven't just done a penguins.
Lions.
At some point,
meerkats. That's just these. I'm going to be in the. I'll be in the marketing.
I was saying they have Wall-E. I mean that is just the main character's
name.
name
with your titles, yeah. Koalas.
Yep. Finding Nemo. There you go. You got that.
Fish. Yeah, just call that movie Fish.
Just fish finds fish.
Yeah, just simplify it. Okay. Surf's Up. Another good one.
I'm not sure how to class it as good.
Okay. Well, it has the same Metascore as Behind the Mask. But Metascores are, I think, widely unreliable.
Yeah, probably.
For the most part. Should we talk about maybe I don't know. I guess I would call this the downside of mockumentaries.
All right, then.
Something that if we were talking about our other podcast, the FMK, I think we would F these documents. I think kill these.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm talking about, sorry for anyone to alienate Borat and Bruno. Films that, well, at least the first we can say, took the world by storm the first time around.
Yeah, I mean...
Because, granted, it was like a humor, and I'm putting that in quotes, that really hadn't been on film before much.
No,
I mean, somewhat in the way of like the Jackass guys, but taken to just the 10th degree of that.
Yeah, I saw Ali G in the House, which was his feature-length film based on the TV show that he had, and that was one of the characters on it. Yeah. Starring Martin Freeman, actually, among others, and that one was enjoyable. It was this guy who's just incredibly stupid, ending up as an MP, and he's being used, so he's trying to figure out how to get back at it. Like, fairly standard story, worked quite well and done very well, and then Borat. And I saw the first, I think, 10 minutes of it, and I was like, this just isn't for me. This is not...
I enjoyed it the first time.
Okay.
But, I mean... I'm going to try to rationalize this by saying it was a crowded theater, very close, I think, to opening weekend. And so you have that comedy vibe in the room.
Okay.
You know, so that kind of helps with things. And, but yeah, because usually I'm not a fan at all of the kind of hidden camera comedy or when jokes are at people's expense that they aren't aware that they're the joke. Like, that usually makes me very socially uncomfortable and awkward, and just makes me feel icky. And that's the whole movie, so you're saying, why would you like that?
Well, there's that, and then also there's the question of exactly how much of it did they not...
Yeah, how much was produced, you know,
I mean, there's a bit at the end, I believe, again, still haven't seen it, but with Pamela Anderson.
Yeah.
And that whole thing of like, well, no, she clearly didn't know what was going on. It's like, no, he wasn't arrested.
There was no trial. Yeah, there was, and no story about him, assaulting her.
And based on what I heard from people talking about it, like, it's not like the bodyguards do anything, really. Like, so, that had to
so I mean, very thinly rides the line of mockumentary, I think, because it is, I think, so clearly manipulated.
I mean, I would almost argue that it isn't a mockumentary, and it's more just the character. That's all it is. The film is just the character. There's not it, and it's just shoving him in situations. If this was done like solid camera, like, then I think it's just different. Like, I kind of don't want to put it in with the rest of the film. But,
I don't either, because I have zero desire to ever see it again, because it's just... It's a sparkler. Once it's out, it's out. I
mean, unfortunately, it does fit the criteria for mockumentary.
I mean, there are talking heads interviews. Not so much, maybe not talking heads, but definitely like two sets, like two shots of him, interviewing the humor coach or whatever, but it is set up as a documentary.
Yeah, I mean, you could almost say it's kind of Modern Family-esque type thing. Like, there are some straight to cameras, and then there are some just following.
Or The Office, things like that. But and then I didn't even bother with Bruno. So sorry if you're fans, but I think Paul and I are clearly on the record as
it's not our film. It's not aimed at us. And that's not to say that because of what Bruno's supposed to be that we're not. It's just that humor is not us. So.
I think I was just kind of drinking the Kool-Aid the first time around, so I'll let myself off. But yes, I have woken up to the reality of Borat.
Do you know what?
Number one prostitute in all of Kazakhstan.
Do you know what else I would put in that list as well? I mean, I'm sure you would agree. The Paranormal Activities. I class those as mockumentary. I know that they're technically found footage, but what it is someone has put together this serious found footage from all of the stuff and is presenting it as factually what happened, that sounds like a mockumentary to me.
I think it's more on the found footage side.
Yeah, I think the found footage is an offshoot type thing, because if it was a documentary done where it's like, here's all of this footage that we've shot of what happened, that's still a documentary. It's also CCTV footage, I just want them to go. Just get rid of those, please. But no, they're going to keep churning them out. We're going to get to 15 before they start losing money.
I'm sure they make like 2 or 3 a year, it seems like.
Yeah.
I know it's probably like 1 a year, but it feels like more.
Yeah, it's unfortunately so cheap to make that they're able to just do them.
Yep. And they will make their $30 million, and they'll make them for 7 or 8, and they'll make money, and that's
Well, yeah, the first one was what, 100,000, if that, and it made so much.
But now they can afford to throw a few million into them, and they'll look better, and they're still going to profit you $25 million, and they wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Someone with integrity, that's it. Okay.
Us, that's it.
Because we aren't in that position. But all right, were there any others you wanted to discuss? Quickly?
But not in that side. But and then there was one that I completely forgotten about until I was looking this up. You probably won't have heard of it. It's called Mike Bassett, England Manager.
No.
Yeah,
I bet you I'm not alone.
I'm sure almost the entirety of America has never heard of this film. And what it is this guy played by Ricky Tomlinson, I believe is the name. And he is Mike Bassett, who is this fan of the England football team, and through some freak of circumstance, he is made the new England manager. And it's his fight to have England go back to the England football team go back to the way that he believed the England football team should be, like the old 4-4-2 format, which means nothing to most American people that don't really follow soccer. But as you follow soccer,
4 center, 4 mid, and 2 defensive.
Yep. And it's something that won the 1966 World Cup, and it's something that obviously he firmly believes that that's the way you need to go, and it's really well done. And I didn't even realize it was a mockumentary at the time of watching it, because I was just watching it. But now that thinking back on it, it's like, well, it's talking heads, like a lot of interviews, a lot of shaky cam footage as they're filming the guy. It was really well done, and I think something that is very underappreciated at this point. I would recommend people see it if you can. Given that I think I just saw you fail to find it on IMDb, which means
IMDb has not heard of this movie, so
I think it's something that will be difficult to find, but should you find it, and through whatever means you wish to find it is fine by us. I really don't care. And please do at least attempt to give it a watch if you got the time.
I think just a couple more honorable mentions, then we'll get out. I just wanted to give a shout out to the Ruttles, the Beatles.
Yeah. All you need is cash
with Eric Idle. So check out any of those. There's a few of them, I believe, right?
Yeah, I mean, the Ruttles is, for those of you that are completely unaware of them, obviously it is making fun of the Beatles, as you said, and it is made by Eric Idle.
Yes, so if you like some Monty Python,
there's some Pythons in there, and it is making fun. And of course, if you want to actually know exactly what they're making fun of, do go and see A Hard Day's Night, which is the Beatles making fun of the Beatles. There is one scene where one of them is taking a bath, and then when they call out to the others, and then all 3 of the other members get out of the bath. Like, they're all hidden under the bath and get in out through it. Like, it's a psychedelic trip version of the Beatles.
Right,
and of course, great Beatles songs in it. So.
Of course, yeah. So I need to look into those more. One of my, I'm a huge Woody Allen fan, and one of my favorites of his, outside of Annie Hall, of course, is Take the Money and Run. Have you seen this one, Paul?
I have not. I've only seen one Woody Allen film. And when I say Woody Allen film, I don't mean film with Woody Allen in it. I mean Woody Allen made film, because of course I have seen Ants. So, so I've seen that one. But yeah, no, I've only seen the one Woody Allen film, and I've forgotten what it is.
Match Point, Crimes and Misdemeanors,
it was
Mighty Aphrodite, Bullets Over Broadway.
No, it was
Midnight in Paris.
No, it was last year. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, you continue to talk about the film, and I will let you know what film.
No, there's nothing. Yeah, I'm not going to buy you enough time here because I don't have much to say. But Take the Money and Run is just something you need to watch. It's if you love Woody, and this one you've missed, just go back and check it out because it is very close, I would say, to a mockumentary, if not so. It's the life and times of Virgil Starkwell. He's a bank robber who's not very good at bank robbing,
right?
Of course, and it's just so perfectly played. Like once again, just the sincerity of the character in a comedic, background is just awesome. And it's just Woody 1969, like pretty much in his prime, I would think.
Yeah, and I just found it. Magic in the Moonlight. Colin Firth, Emma Stone, and some other people. So,
that's the only one you've ever seen.
That is the only one I'd ever seen do it, and I didn't even know it was directed by him until the credits started rolling. It was good. I think me and Jamie rented it.
Well, he has the reverse credit. Credits.
We rented it, and we were like, "Do you want to see it?" Okay, sure. And then we watched it, and the credits started. That's a Woody Allen film. Yes. I've seen a Woody Allen film now.
Well, I would recommend more.
Yeah,
I'd recommend Annie Hall. I'd recommend Sleepers.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll see more.
Or Sleeper. I'm sorry, not Sleepers.
Right.
Sleeper.
Sleepers is probably something else.
No, Sleepers is Kevin Bacon and
there we go.
Nero.
I was correct. It was
quite a different film experience if you've seen Sleepers. A little bit of a downer.
All right. Well,
I think that's it for us.
I'm now gonna list off this. We had the most response to this than anything else I've put out. So Rogue Squadron podcast, great bunch of guys there. They said all the Christopher Guest films are their favourite mockumentaries.
Free consideration is, it's okay.
We've got Gizmonic Institute, otherwise known as @CAE Bling, said Best in Show. So
absolutely.
Got Kat Kasasa, or @KCASA 7131. Said, all you need is cash, and this is Spinal Tap. They never get old. I can watch them over and over, and they're still hilarious. And yep, definitely, that is correct. And I also put out to several of the other podcasts that we have here, and this will be retreading, but the Last Row podcast said This is Spinal Tap is their favourite, classic characters and great music. The AB Film Review said Best in Show is great, their personal favourite. And Tony Southcott said What We Do in the Shadows is amazing. It's a bit newer.
It is a bit newer.
And
an opinion and a fact.
Yes. And the Film Reel podcast actually came up with something from a little while ago on English TV, Bad News by the cast of Comic Strip. And Comic Strip, just in case you don't know, was an old TV show in England where a bunch of the really big comic names at the time, people from the young ones, French and Saunders, you had Rowan Atkinson and a bunch of others in there. They just did all this stuff, and they did one called Bad News, which I have yet to see, but if it's anything like their other stuff, I really want to see it. So there you go. And that was everything we got back. So yeah, that definitely, mockumentaries are apparently quite popular, at least on Twitter.
Yes, just make them good ones. Yeah.
Alright, so I don't think I have anything else to add.
I certainly don't.
No. I think at the end, just go see all the ones we talked about, with the exception of the ones we told you not to go and see.
And we just need this film crew out of here that's filming us do this podcast.
Oh, yes. Yeah. We should have done this as characters.
Next time.
All right. Well, I've been Paul.
And I've been Brian.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.